All right, Perry,
Hey, Brian.
how's it going?
Good.
Nice. All right, well, I'm glad we are here today to kind of get things going. Let's see. We are doing a live Q&A about some of the CodeVA training that is happening this summer.
Yeah, very good. Should we start with some introductions?
Let's do it.
I can go first. My name is Perry Shank. I am the curriculum manager for CodeVA. I was also a former participant as as a um, a teacher who was being trained about 3 years ago for the AP Computer Science Principles class, and then moved into facilitation, where I got to work with an amazing team of facilitators and CodeVA to offer professional development to other teachers in that same cohort, same class. And then just recently moved into a curriculum manager with CodeVA, where we're designing and working towards making a lot of great sessions for people to participate in this summer and beyond. How about you, Brian?
Nice. So I am Brian Wallace. I am the education community manager for CodeVA. I am former middle school teacher and former software engineer, and I've been here for a while, for a couple of years with CodeVA, and really working to see how we can broaden the teacher community in terms of bringing CS to the K-12 space. So really excited about that. Nice. It's good to see you, man. I feel like
Yeah,
it's been a
yeah.
while, right?
Yeah, definitely not the same as face to face, right? But
Exactly.
this will do. This will do.
Nice. Well, I know one thing that always happens is right around this time, we start to get quite a few questions around what training may look like for teachers, especially during our summer sessions. And with this year being a little bit different, people are definitely wondering how things might still work out. So we figured we'd jump on here and kind of answer some questions for people and see if we can sort of ease some ideas and see what it makes happen.
Yeah. So first of all, I think maybe we should probably talk a little bit about CodeVA because there might be some people who have a friend who shared this on Facebook, or maybe you've watched it when you've typed in computer science into YouTube or whatever. But in order to explain what CodeVA is about, I'll share with you a couple of things. First of all, as many great institutions these days, we have a website. If you go to codevirginia.org, you will find all kinds of information about us and what we do. But essentially, we're a nonprofit that partners with schools and parents and communities to bring about equitable computer science education to the state of Virginia and beyond too. The main thing that we do around the summer months is really to provide excellent computer science training to teachers from all different levels, actually, of understanding. I was just sharing with a couple of people recently how I came into CodeVA. Actually, I used to be a music teacher, a elementary music teacher, and when there was an opportunity within my district to start as a computer science teacher, I really wanted to jump into that. And technology has always been kind of a strong point for me. So this was definitely a direction I wanted to go. And so I started looking for training programs that could equip me with the skills and the tools to be able to jump right in with high school students at the AP level. And CodeVA was recommended to me, and they did an excellent job. I did a week-long session on AP Computer Science Principles, which got my feet under me, and I was able to continue with some development for the next couple of years. And really, that's the ethos of what we do at CodeVA. We take teachers at whatever experience level that they're at, and we find a session that would be excellent for them and that's leveled towards what they want to do and the experience that they have. And we provide curriculum and training, and actually really like a community. One of the strongest points is that we've got a community of other practitioners around the state of Virginia and online that you can be a part of and really learn how to engage students in computer science.
Great points. That was actually a really great job, Perry.
No, thanks.
Have to get you to do that all the time.
Well, now it's recorded, so
There you go. Yeah,
we can
awesome.
just put that on loop somewhere, right?
That's a great point. And I think one of the other questions that often come up with teachers who decided, hey, they want to participate, really is sort of how much do these professional learning courses actually cost, right? And so one of the great things that about CodeVA, with us being a nonprofit and then also having the opportunity to work directly with the state, is that we have an opportunity to offer these particular courses and trainings free to Virginia public school teachers. So that is the awesome cost. It's 000. And so hopefully that is on purpose to really sort of eliminate any barriers that we may have or teachers may have in actually participating and really helping them to implement CS across the state.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Very good. Well, I think we've got a couple of other questions here. One of the other things that that comes up is that, and I've talked about this a little bit already today, but whether you need any kind of background or experience in computer science or programming, a lot of times people hear computer science and they think, oh, I don't know how to program, right? But it's actually a lot more than just programming. And programming is one of those things that we offer development in to teach teachers how to teach programming. And also we have some sessions this summer that help prepare people to actually just become better programmers as teachers so that they can do a better job at teaching whatever their grade level is. But really, when it comes down to it, it's more about your mindset of wanting to jump in and learn something new, because you will be learning something new. The idea that you have to have some sort of background or experience in computer science directly is it's just not necessary. So we have people from all experience levels in our programs, and sometimes you'll have people who really have just not like this is their first opportunity with computer science. And then we also have some people who have taught for years and years in like computer science A, like the Java class, or maybe they've been a ITRT or a computer science or tech expert within their school or their district. And so we have places for everybody to engage in worthwhile and meaningful curriculum to take where they're at and to increase their skill set or within a certain level or within a certain band of study. Brian, you're muted still.
As I said, I think that's a great point. And I think having that sort of mixture of everyone in the room really makes it that much more of a rich experience. I think that really makes a big part of it. Let's see. What other questions do we have here?
Yeah, well, I know one of the questions. So we're pivoting right now. In the past years, we've offered these as live sessions in various hubs around the state. I know that when I did my training, I was in Richmond, but we've got other places too that do face-to-face sessions in Harrisonburg and Roanoke and Norfolk and where are the other places that I'm forgetting? Danville, right?
Yes. Abington.
Abington, right?
Well. Yes.
Yeah, so we try to position those live trainings around the state of Virginia, so they're accessible within a couple of hours at least for most people. But since we're in a different situation this year, we are moving our sessions to a virtual platform. So we're going to be using online methods to create that community and to do that training. And it poses some interesting challenges, but we've been talking a lot about it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So really, one of the questions that we've been getting, that I've been hearing, is what do I need in order to participate? I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit, Brian, but what types of equipment as a participant would I need in order to fully engage in the session trainings that are happening for this summer?
And that's a great point. Typically, I would say what you want to have in order to participate simply is, for the most part, we are computer science training. So we want to make sure that you have some sort of form of computer. So if it was live training, we could totally say, hey, you could definitely use a tablet. to work with this. But since we're doing the online virtual side of things, it's strongly suggested that you, just for ease of use, that you would probably use either a desktop or a laptop to fully engage. You could totally possibly get away with using a tablet, but it may be a little bit more difficult for you to really engage and interact. So we're strongly suggesting a laptop or a desktop to participate. In addition, you definitely would want to use some headphones and a good microphone. So making sure that your laptop is sort of set up for those baseline opportunities to sort of speak and be heard, and then also for you to be able to hear clearly what's happening. Outside of that, if you want to make sure that you have a nice, strong internet connection, so whether you are either that's a Wi-Fi connection, or if you plugged in directly, you want to make sure that you have a strong internet connection that way. And really, outside of that, it's just a great mindset and attitude ready to come and participate and really learn, take away something new. So I think those are the big pieces, and I might be missing something in that space. And I think I can also say this is that a lot of these things now we won't provide a laptop, but hopefully we are looking to see if we can maybe even provide some of those like headphones or things of that nature for our participants that are participating. So
yeah, I do know. I've heard how there will be a welcome package that goes out to people who sign up for specific sessions, and inside of that will be some things to help them engage in the virtual sessions. One of the other things that we've been thinking a lot about from the perspective of curriculum and training is how we're designing our sessions to be interactive. So don't expect our sessions online to be sitting and just passively listening, but we're looking for engagement. We're looking for people to jump in and share experiences and work in small groups and really do a lot of authentic and rigorous work. There's two great buzzwords, right? Rigorous and authentic work to learn computer science. So we're trying to. I mean, there's no way that we can replace a face-to-face session, but we're definitely not looking to just talk at you, and we're not going to be doing the lecture thing. We want it to be interactive, and we want it to be something where you feel like you are creating that community and that you are engaging with people who are either sharing similar experiences, or maybe there are people who you can learn what it's like to teach in another part of the state. And that's actually one of the stronger points that we are able to do in these virtual settings, is that we are not constricted by geographic location anymore. So if one of the things that we can expect for the summer is to connect with people around the state who might align with our perspective, or maybe they'll have a different perspective, and we can be enriched by being in a group with people and have discussions from all around the state and all different backgrounds and experiences.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we hear the most, Perry, from our participants. Really just enjoy having a chance to sort of build a network that's statewide and sort of see what's happening, best practices, opportunities that they can really bring back to their district. So that's really exciting. And even with that, sort of going to the next part of this, someone's asked the big question we get around is the idea of support. And if there is support, and what kind that may happen. And so for some of our sessions, which is really nice, we try to create sort of a multitude of opportunities or entryways for teachers to participate with us. So we have one-day sessions, we have two-day sessions, and then we have week-long sessions as well. And this summer rather, those sessions have sort of been broken up over a couple of weeks. And so the idea is that we have what we call our cohort trainings, and then we have our sort of one day or sort of one-off trainings, if you will. And so in that way, for our cohort trainings, we have year-long supports that happen in that space. So you sort of start your training during the summertime with what we consider sort of an intensive, and then you have a few times throughout the year where you will meet again and sort of follow up to make sure you're supported in that way and with your implementation as it goes along. And for our actual sort of one-off trainings, you are then a participant, and you have become what you want to consider like an alumni, if you will. And so you become a part of a network of other folks who've gone through and participants who've gone through and completed that training. And so you'd have access to all the things that they will, and sort of thinking of in sort of a PLC sort of idea. So there's an opportunity for you to walk away with folks from across the state that you can connect with, and you built it, had the shared experience with, that they can now support each other, as well as having the resources and the connection to a larger network of folks that have already participated. And you also have the support of CodeVA. At any point in time that you have questions, we are here to help and here to sort of answer those questions for you as well. Because if you have it, guaranteed there's probably some other teachers that have it as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I really benefited from when I was in my early stages of my my training with CodeVA is that there was often a lot of rich materials that were created by the either facilitators or the apprentices or even like the other participants. And those resources I could use in my classroom. I maybe would have to tweak a little bit or change, but that was one of the strongest things, is being a part of a group of people that openly shared resources that they created and were very, very thoughtful about how what they created might be applicable in different ways. So that's definitely another resource too that I think we can throw up and say that that's something that CodeVA really stands behind, and we're definitely all about the open education resources.
And I think a big part of that too, just to add to that, Perry, is even though our courses are free, so is our curriculum, right? That's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. So the idea of that the courses are free, and anything that we are working on or providing as part of the training, you also will have access to, not just during the training, but afterwards as well. So we really want to provide resources that are open and that are free, just like you mentioned there. And one of the last questions we have here, really, and I'll let Perry really dive into this one, but really thinking about how can I add on a computer science endorsement?
Oh man, yeah. So Virginia has a computer science endorsement now. And actually, the endorsements that I had before I started teaching computer science were K-12 music, choral, vocal, instrumental. I also had my business IT endorsement, and that allowed me to teach at the high school level for the CTE classes that I was teaching. But I really wanted to last year when the computer science endorsement came out, I really wanted to strive to try um, to capture that, I guess. I wanted to try to put my best self forward and get the endorsement that I know that my students and everybody kind of expected me to get, right? So this computer science endorsement maybe doesn't have to be for everyone, but there are certain people maybe that might be interested in it. And actually, we're going to be providing some training not this summer, but next year as we go. It's focused on the praxis tests, and really, I'm not going to say it's simple. It took a while for me to study. It's a balance of programming and then computer science background, just knowledge of systems and knowledge of networking and ethics and the internet. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can find online about what the Virginia Computer Science Endorsement Test is about, the praxis test. But if you're looking to add that computer science endorsement, if you need to get that taken care of this summer, I would recommend that you go online and check out what each individual criteria is that they'll be testing you on, and kind of create a checklist and say, do I know this or not? And if the answer is no, I do not know this, sort it out and put it over into a different pile and work your way through that. You can work your way through your own personal training system, I guess, until we get ours up and running. But we will have one later on, and you can look for it this next year, and we can provide some support for you if you're looking to train on praxis for next summer. So that's what I would say. It's worthwhile to get, and I feel like my experience and my knowledge was enriched by preparing for this, so I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's a great point in your experience, sort of not having a sort of computer science endorsement, but then also having a very different endorsement in terms of
Right.
music and IT.
Right.
For the so on, really sort of helps to understand that you don't have to come from a computer science background
Right.
in order to go for this endorsement. As a matter of fact, most people won't. So I think that's a big piece of it. And then also making sure that they know it's not as easy as just a cakewalk either. And I've had a chance to look at it a couple of times, and I have a background in CS, and so I thought it was really, really thorough in that way. So it was exciting to see. And also, yeah, about that.
Yeah.
And one of the last questions that we have here as well is just sort of thinking about, as we're talking about endorsements, do these courses rather actually count towards recertification points? And the quick answer to that is all of the trainings that we do, we do provide PD hours for. Now, the way we do not give specifically points to any particular training, the way we do it is we provide a certificate that says you've gone through this many number of hours of training, and so however your division then decides to convert that to PD points is how that would work. So we just want to make sure that that's the case. So in terms of, do you get credit for these? You certainly do, in terms of saying that you have completed X number of hours, and then however your division then sort of uses that number is up to them. So, but we definitely want to make sure that you know that you as a teacher would definitely have an opportunity to receive some sort of points and or credit for participating in our courses.
Yeah. So another question popped up here too that I think we could go over, Brian, and this would be towards you. Although I think I've got a little bit of an idea because I've been through the process. But the question is, how can I become a facilitator? So maybe there's somebody out there who has already done our training sessions. Maybe somebody who's been through our K5 Coaches Academy or something like that, and now they're interested in possibly becoming a facilitator. What would be the process for that? How would they get started with that?
That is a great question. And so one of the things that we really are excited about at CodeVA is our facilitator staff, our faculty staff. And so we have done a great job of really sort of cultivating some great teachers and the things of that nature. So the first thing I would say is that all of our faculty, so that is our facilitators as well as our apprentices, are current or just former, just out of the classroom or operating in that space, teachers. And we believe we go in that route because we believe teachers provide a source of experience and expertise that's valuable when we're talking about training other teachers. So if you're interested in being a facilitator, the first thing that we do say is that we would like for you to actually go through our training so that you can really see what is it that CodeVA actually does, what we're talking about, what does a training look like, and how could you possibly facilitate it. The second part of that is that we have what we call our apprenticeship pathway. And so what we do is we want to make sure that the easiest way to put that is we've created a program for people that are interested in becoming a facilitator. And that is literally an intensive process that basically you come in and you are working with current full facilitators to sort of learn the program that you're interested in facilitating with, learning the values of CodeVA, what we believe makes a great session and great training, and then have an opportunity to actually practice. So it's a sort of a gradual release of responsibility. And so you start in sort of observing, and then you get a chance to participate, and then you get a chance to facilitate independently. And then we ask you to do some performance tasks at the end to sort of show us out of your process what have you really learned. And at that point, you get a chance to really contribute. And because I think the other part that people don't necessarily know is that our facilitator and our faculty staff actually really do contribute to the trainings that happen at CodeVA. Not only to the training, but to the resources that we also make available for teachers broadly. So it's not just coming in and actually just kind of running a session. It also includes this idea of really bringing your expertise and your experience to the space to be able to then contribute largely. So that's a big piece, but it all starts with the application to our apprenticeship. And that usually opens sometime in the end of the year. Or it might be rolling depending on our needs. So just give you that heads up.
Right. Yeah.
Great question.
I think one of the final things that we can do today, because I think we answered a lot of great questions, and I think it might be helpful if we have another session later on as we get closer to the dates. But I wonder if we've got information of website of where people can register. I think you've got that there somewhere, probably, Brian.
Oh, of course, right. That's a great point. Yeah, I think. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's on this website, if you go to code.info/PD registration 2020, you're going to find a listing of our programs that we have for the summer and their dates. There's a little bit of a shuffle around as far as when some of the classes are offered. So it's important for you to look at your schedule and know your schedule for the summer, and to see which sessions would be the best for you. One of the things that we haven't done yet, Brian, is to just give a little overview of each of the sessions quickly and kind of, I guess, give a narrative as to what the class is about. Do you want to start by talking about Project Guts a little bit? Just a couple of sentences, maybe.
Sure. So, Project Guts, it's a great program. It is one that is actually an NSF funded program that is started out of school time. And so it is a program that is centered around the idea of implementing computational thinking and computer science in the science classroom. And so that's just targeted towards middle school. And so the idea is here from 6th to 8th grade, you will use modeling and simulation to actually deliver and help to support the science content. And so this training is a 2-day training that we have typically in person. And so it may be, we're finalizing the amount of days here, but it will be about, we'll go along with our Coaches Academy piece. And so that is being offered this time as well. So just going to have a brief overview of that. So if you're interested, if you're a science teacher, or if you're interested in sort of thinking about ways to bring modeling or simulations to your classroom, this is a great program for that.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit of the Middle School Coaches Academy. Do you want to share about that a little bit too?
Right. So our Coaches Academy for middle school is really centered around the idea of creating a resource for schools to have in-house. And so what we have is we have either the idea of a what we consider a specialist or a coach or someone that is rather a learning specialist or instructional person or even admin are available to just come to our Coaches Academy. And we also say that teachers are more than welcome to come as well. What we like to do here is that it's a focus on really the idea of what does it look like to implement CS and integrate CS into content areas, and what does that look like? So it's in our Coaches Academy is one of our cohort programs, which actually will do sort of the intensive during the summertime, and we'll have that follow-up support throughout the year. So it's made up of the space of really thinking about how do we integrate, and then in addition, it also speaks about what does it look like to be a resource for others? What does it look like to coach others? So there's a lot of resources in there as well about what does it look like to help other teachers start to implement? What does it look like to run a PD? What does it look like to sort of bring this to your space and be a resource for others?
Yeah. Such a fantastic resource. And actually, we have a very similar program for K5, which is called K5 Coaches Academy. Just take all of what Brian said, copy and paste, and then search and find everywhere where he said middle school and switch it out for K5, and you've got the right idea.
Right.
So we have for both levels, for middle school and K5 coaches. I think if you are someone who is in a coaching or instructional coordinator position who would like to know more about integrating or bringing in computer science into your schools, this is really a knockout class. It's perfect for that. We do at the middle school level have two other classes too. One of them is a returning class that we've been sharing with people for a year or so, and it's a middle school elective class called Computer Science Discoveries. It works with the curriculum from code.org, Computer Science Discoveries, and if you want to search that out and take a look, code.org is one of our partners that we share. They share curriculum with us for a couple of our programs that we have, one of the high school levels and some of the others. And so the middle school elective class Computer Science Discoveries really focus on preparing teachers to teach the middle school elective course in computer science. It takes a wide lens on computer science and covers a lot of topics, including like programming and how systems work, and looking at like physical computing, right? Like when you tear apart a computer and you look at the internal components, what do you find? How do they work? talking about like web pages, HTML and CSS, and talking about data and privacy and security. Basically, it's a class that really takes a wide lens on what computer science is, and it's really a fantastic class that I know a lot of students have had a lot of success in. So really, it's a good class if you've never taken it before, or maybe you teach an electives class and you're looking for something to help refresh. This would be a really good one for you to take. A new class that we're offering at the middle school level is called Middle School Integration. And so the idea of integration is that we may have teachers who are interested in teaching computer science related topics, but they're teaching English or they're teaching science or math. And so this class focuses either like you could be a teacher or you could be a coach, and it looks at how you might best integrate computer science content within the content that you're already teaching. So it's a really interesting perspective of folding in both so that there's almost an equal partnership between the two, and works on really introducing computer science topics through the lens of some other topics as well, some core topics.
And that course is also available for elementary school, correct?
It is, yeah. So there's a partner class called K5 Integration that does the same thing. Like I said before, just take everything that I said that's framed on middle school and replace it with K5, and that is the class. Both of those classes are really focused on looking at lessons and retooling lessons, bringing in some lessons that maybe you've taught before, and finding connections that share overarching concepts with computer science principles. So highly recommended. It's a one-day class, and you can register for it on that site. Some other elementary leveled classes that we have another one day called Launching CS. Brian, do you want to talk about that one?
Sure. Launching is really sort of a, just as it mentions, it's an intro sort of, if I'm interested in doing CS in my classroom, and this is a K5 level class, the idea is really thinking about what does it look like to sort of get started. And I have no idea where do I get started, but I know I would like to do something. So this is a course that really sort of breaks down the day. The first part is really sort of looking at what is getting an understanding of what CS is in the first place, and then sort of jumping into the idea of looking at what is expected from the standards. So really getting an understanding of what the new CS standards look like and how does that work. And then the end of the day is sort of getting a chance to look at different opportunities to incorporate CS into your space, so that integration piece. And then lastly, sort of an idea of what does it look like to work with code or programming in that space. So you sort of getting a nice wraparound package of what does it look like to incorporate CS into your classroom. And here are the resources you can take away with you to get started tomorrow. So it's really, that's the thought process of launching. And I said K5, but it's actually K8. So if you're in that space, either elementary or middle school, you can totally do launching as well.
Yeah, very similar to the middle school elective class that I just recently shared about. There's another class that is kind of along that same lines, that's geared towards high school students, and it's called CS Foundations. It's exploring computer science, also a packaged curriculum that we partner with that really gives a good overview of computer science, and once again takes that wide lens of what computer science is. So that if you're a high school teacher and you are looking to add an elective, or maybe you're already teaching an elective at your level where you would like to kind of refresh or bring in some other exciting curriculum, this training will get you on board with that and get you set up for this next school year. We have another final high school class that we offer this year, that is the AP Computer Science Principles class, and that is the freshman class. It's basically like a college level freshman class that I always tell my students at the high school that it's a computer science for non-majors. So it's a great way to look at computer science and think about how it's used as a tool and how it's pervasive in society through technologies that we use and programs that we use on day to day, and how those things shape how we interact with the world and how we interact with other people. It's a great class to talk about the ethics of computing and looking at beneficial and harmful effects towards society or our culture or economy. It's a really wonderful class that we use a shared curriculum with that code.org has put together that fits in very nicely, and it aligns with the College Board's AP Computer Science Principal class. And that's a class that students can get college credit for at the high school level if they take the test and score high enough on the assessment at the very end of the year, which is what some of my students are going through right now. And then lastly, we actually have we have two classes that we're adding this year that are focused on programming. So these aren't necessarily for a specific level, but we are choosing two different tools to talk about programming. And so one of them is programming using Scratch. Many of you might be familiar with the Scratch platform language or web tool for programming that has that famous cat that you can move around and have speech bubbles pop up. It's a really fun and interactive programming platform for people to learn how to program and create games and create tools. There's a lot of great ways that you can use that Scratch program. And it's a 3-day session that really covers those fundamentals of programming. So if you're someone who maybe you've got the curriculum part down and you just want to like dig in, or maybe this is your first experience with any kind of programming and you want to kind of get a kickstart, this would be a really great session for you so that you can learn those fundamentals of programming through that Scratch programming language. The other one that we're doing it partners with the other one that I just mentioned, except everywhere that I said Scratch, switch that out for Python. And there's no fun cat that really is with Python, but there's some other fun things that you can do too. Python, while Scratch is a block-based language where you drag and drop blocks, Python is a text-based language. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just for the upper level, like middle school, high school teachers and students. I've seen students in the upper elementary also create some pretty neat things in Python. And so if you're interested in learning a programming language, this 3-day session will get you not 0 to 60, but it'll get you 0 to like 25, a nice coast, right? Something that you can jump in and say, well, you know what, I know some of the stuff for programming, and now I can take that to the next step and jump in and maybe take a more advanced class next year. So this will at least get your feet wet and get you in a good place with understanding foundational programming skills and knowledge. And one of the great things I think about this is that it's going to put you in a good position where the other things that you do in your classroom or the ways that you engage with teachers as a coach, this will give you really good foundational knowledge to help them understand what's actually going on when they do something in programming. So really, those are our classes. And once again, Brian, I don't know if you want to pop up that that tag again for the website for people to go on to register for these classes. But really, I don't know that we've got much more to talk about today.
I agree. I think we did a pretty good job here. And if you have more questions, please feel free to drop in the comments or send us an email. And we'll definitely try. I think, like you mentioned, it might be a good idea to do this another time and make sure that we can answer any questions that come up. Otherwise, we'd love to see you at training, and we're excited to have you. So tell a friend, make sure you sign up as well. And I think that's good to go.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.